Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm glad you come back to listen to another story. And if this is your first time and you like hearing stories from a guy who grew up in the Ozarks, hunting, fishing, trapping, all sorts of stuff, and once in a while I even go trapping and hunting and record that too. If you like that kind of stuff, hit the subscribe and like for me, would you? And thanks for everybody who's come back to listen again to another great story. I think they're great. But anyways, I was talking to a few pals of mine earlier and reminded me of a time I went trapping and camping and with a friend of mine who also had been trapping with me on a couple lines. He was the one with me on the Goliath beaver catch and always went every year on the turkey hunting float trip. Anyways, he's involved in this story quite a bit. If you want to hear this story, you want to hear about everything that happened in between the beginning and the end, go get your popcorn, go use the bathroom, have your smoke break, do whatever it is you got to do to get comfortable and sit down and get ready to hear a story about the trickiest fox I ever crossed paths with. Let's go. Hey y'all, glad you stayed here, tuned in. Here we go. So, this story starts out with me and a buddy of mine. We'd been running some trap lines together, and he had found this place. I'd never been there before, and I'm not going to disclose where it's at because it is a public area and it is Mark Twain National Forest. But, well, you'll just have to keep listening to figure out why I'm not going to tell you where it's at. But it did have a creek, a very nice creek. And as a matter of fact, our campsite, which I used my camper, I had a 14-foot camper, hooked it up to my trooper, and I hauled it down to this place. Now, I had never been there before. Never. And even though I had grown up in the area of this place, it wasn't real close to where I actually grew up. But later on, I lived in an area very close to this place and never had been there. Never even heard of it. But it is a very nice place. Man, I mean, it's nice. The campsites are really, really nice. But, when I was there, they were. I don't know what it's like now because it's been a long time, y'all. 18 to 22 years, something like that, since I've been there. Well, I go down there early. I'm going 10 days. My buddy, he could only go 7 days. So I actually show up a day before him. Yeah. But I don't know if he even stayed the whole 7. I think he left early because, anyways, we'll get to that in a little bit. But he didn't show up till the next day. I went down a day early. I got the camp all set up and camper set up. Now, it's still all primitive. I'm allowed to have my camper there, but there's absolutely no hookups. No water, no electric, nothing. But it was right beside the creek. Now, when I was out there, this particular place, it has a lake that's spring fed. And then the water runs over the dam down into the original creek. And there's another couple springs, or at least one spring after the lake, right? So the waters I thought would be good, you know. Come to find out, there's actually some warnings posted about the water and drinking the water. And I remember there was a water spigot, but I can't remember if it was on or off. Anyways, beside the point, we had our own water, and anytime we took water out of the creek, we just boiled it. But I was there the first night by myself, and everything was cool, you know. I went outside. Now it's pretty cold. It's trapping season. It was probably in January too when we went. I had collected a bunch of firewood from the surrounding area, you know, cut it up and all that. And I had it stacked up ready for when my friend got there the next day. Nothing happened the first night, just campfire, chilled out, went to bed. Now, because there's no running water or nothing, and I can't, like during the day, I can't just go outside and whip it out. So I had some jugs in my camper that I was using to take a leak in, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, beside the point. Well, it's not actually. But anyways, so he shows up and he gets all his stuff unloaded. I haven't done any scouting or anything yet, you know. I'm waiting on him to get there because we're doing this together. So it's a new trap line to both of us. And so our trapping packs are loaded down pretty heavy because we don't really know what kind of traps we're going to be able to set, how many of any of them. So we got to take a little bit of everything. So if there's more sign for land sets, and we'll come back, get more land sets and go back, right? So anyways, first day, our trapping packs were mighty heavy. Now, he gets there, gets loaded up in the camper. We get everything lined out. You know, he's got his own pee jug too. And we start talking about where we're going to go. Now, we have a map that they issue for this place. And so we're checking it out. There's a lot of trails already there that we can actually walk down some of these trails and break off these trails, maybe take some game trails on up in the woods to set traps, right? So that we're not on the main trail. We don't want people messing with our stuff. So that's our plan. We see this little loop that we can take that'll take us all the way around, bring us right back. So that's our plan. We're going to get on this loop. Well, it starts out great. Starts out first morning, we load our trapping packs up. I got one of them Kelty backpacks with the aluminum frame. This thing was big, you guys. And I'm thinking, you know, big backpack, I can carry a lot of traps. I'll have a lot more stuff. Every bit of that stuff is heavy. So, anyways, I'm not sure how much my trapping pack weighed exactly, but I know that I had to use two hands to lift it up and put it on the tongue of my trailer, and then I squatted down and put my arms through the shoulder straps and cinched her down and then stood up. And then when I walked, I had to kind of lean forward. It was heavy, you guys. It was pretty heavy. I totally felt like a turtle, right? I mean, it was heavy. So we got our packs on. We're cinched down. We've already got walking sticks. I've always had a walking stick. I think I got one in here. Oh, I'm not seeing it. It should have been in here. Huh. I moved it. I'm going to have to find that because I'm going to be using it here for too long, I believe. So anyways, I need to stop looking for my walking stick that isn't in here. We get our packs loaded up, and right where we're camping is a trail. Is like, you just jump on the trail and walk it around, comes right back to our camp. Said that already, but whatever. I'm not going to edit this out neither. So I take off. He's behind me. We're kind of blazing it because it doesn't look like anyone's been down this trail for a little while. So we got our machetes out and we're kind of chopping back some sticker bushes and whatnot. Now this trail, it follows along this creek like, oh goodness, I hate to say, I think a mile maybe one way, then crosses the creek, cuts back about the same distance. Well, actually, it's a little bit farther, probably a mile and a half, because it turns back and comes right. I don't know if this trail is like 3 or 4 miles long, but it's something like that, right? It's not more than 4 miles, I don't believe. But anyways, so we're following this trail alongside the creek. Everything's cool. We're not really seeing any good sign coming off this trail because it's right on a big freaking steep hillside, right? Not a lot of animals going up and down this hillside. So we finally get to where the trail cuts across the creek. We can see the trail marker on the other side of the creek and all that on a tree. Well, we get to the creek and decide at the creek where we got to cross, which happened to be a big log crossing this creek over to a gravel bar, right? But we figure once we cross the creek, we're just going to keep following the creek. We're not going to take the loop back, right? We're just going to keep on down the creek. We're going to make our own trail. So we get to this log, and I mean, it's plenty big enough. It's really wide. It's a sturdy log. It's not rotted or nothing. You can see where people have been crossing this log. It was wore down on top. Bark was gone. It was obvious. So, we were like, sure, crossing the log. Well, we got these heavy packs on, so we got to be careful. Now, remember, I am leaning forward. This backpack is heavy, you guys. I'm not kidding. I was in my 30s when this all went down. And I was pretty healthy, okay? So when I say it was heavy, I mean it was heavy. I wish I'd have weighed that. But anyway, so I'm leaning forward trying to keep this pack from knocking me over. And we're walking this log, and I mean we're taking it slow, right? Because it's sketchy. I'm pretty top heavy. My legs ain't all that big or long. And so we're making it across. And I see my buddy, he jumps down. Now, he's a bigger guy than me. And when he jumped off that log, his pack equally as heavy. When he hit that gravel, he sunk into the gravel, right? So I was like, oh, there's water under that. It's soft. So I need to be careful. So I'm not going to jump, which was a mistake. I decided I'm just going to kind of try to step off to the side. You know what I mean? Like, not where he went off, but off to the side a little bit. Maybe I can just step off the side of the log, keep on moving forward, and everything will be all right. No. It cannot be that simple. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fixing to step off the log. And right when I step down, my foot just sinks. So I start going over y'all like a tree that's being, cut down. Timber, but excuse me. So I start going down, and I'm thinking, don't land on your face. You know what I mean? So I just try to turn, and when I turn, it works, and I land right on my back, right on that trapping pack. Well, that's fine and dandy, because it kept me from getting hurt, right? Didn't hurt none of my traps, nothing got broke, everything was good. Except I was just like a turtle. I was stuck. I couldn't get up. I couldn't roll over. I was just like, help. Oh, I was starting to panic. I'm thinking, how am I going to get up? I can't get up. My buddy, he comes over. He's laughing. He's dying. He's like, what the heck, Matt? He said, I thought you had it. I was already walking. I was like, no, man. I went off sideways. I'm stuck. I can't get up. I said, I can't get up, man. He starts laughing. He's like, hey, calm down. All you got to do is loosen your straps and get out of your backpack. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, that's right. So I loosened my straps, took my waist strap off. I climb out of this backpack, I'm like, getting out of it. I get up, we stand the backpack up. I carry it over to the same log that went across the creek. I pick this backpack up, set it up on that log. I squat down, put it back on, stand up, off we go. Well, so we're going to go down this gravel bar and just walk the creek and see if we can find some good water sets, or where maybe game trails are crossing the creek further down where we can catch some mink and, maybe a beaver or an otter, who knows. Definitely we should be able to catch some foxes and some bobcats and possible coyote, right? So, the habitat was perfect for all these things. And you got to remember also, y'all, when this happened in Missouri, when I took this trip, we didn't have a whole lot of black bears. So black bear awareness and knowledge was not something that I was worried about. And so I didn't know hardly anything, like literally anything except, put your food up. That's about all I knew about black bears, you know what I'm saying? So, it's not that way now. So now I have to be more bear aware if I go camp in any of those type of places again. So, anyways, here or there. We get up, we start heading down this, I get up, we start heading down the creek, we're scouting. We do find quite a few game trails. We end up setting a lot of traps. Not a lot of water sets, but a lot of ground sets. And we start noticing in these banks where the creek, we're going down the creek, and you can see the bank, it's cut out 5 or 6 foot. And then there'd be these big flat spots. Otherwise, it's just hills, and then every once in a while you see these big flat spots. And we started noticing in these flat spots in the bank, there's a lot of chips, rock chips and slivers and broken arrowheads and things like that. And so it didn't take long to put that together. So in most of these flat spots, at some point were camps. So we went from trappers to archaeologist explorers. We start checking out these banks. Every time we come to a flat spot, we start looking at the banks. Now, the creek's not very wide at all, you guys. It's probably about 8-10 foot in most of these places. It's not very wide, but it's cut down deep. And there's generally a gravel bar on one side or the other of this creek. And so while we're doing that, we're also looking at these gravel bars, because a lot of times arrowheads will get washed right up on the gravel bar and just sit there forever. I've actually found two like that, and I'm going to show you one of them. The other one has its own story, so have to wait on that. But anyways, my buddy, he finds a full arrowhead in the bank. It's just sticking out the point of it. And he takes a stick and he kind of scrapes around it. It just falls right out. Perfect, right? I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. So after he found one, he kind of quit looking for them. Well, I hadn't found nothing yet, so I was still kind of looking around, eyeballing, you know, trying to find something. And right on the gravel bar, I found, I hope you guys see this good enough, this. Now, obviously, it's broken, but this was either a knife or a spear point at one time. And there's the base. That's the original base. That's not broke. This is just all worn out. Now it's broke right here. And even the edges are smooth from being washed down that creek for so many thousands of years. But I can't remember. I can't remember if that's a Dalton or a Clovis. I don't know. It's old. I know it's an old one. I mean, you know, you can obviously tell it's been tooled, which that's wore off. The edges are not sharp no more, but you can still see where it was flaked away. So cool I found this. I don't really keep or look, or I found this and we were done with the whole arrowhead archaeology thing. So we started trapping again. So we run a pretty good trap line, and we end up looping back around to where this lake is at. Man, there's really good beaver sign up there, right? And you know, I like to beaver trap. That's my main thing. You guys know this, or you should know this. If you don't, scroll back and look at a couple videos I made, at least one that's all about beaver trapping. Anyways, Goliath Beaver, check it out. So there is muskrat lodges and beaver lodges, and I mean, this lake on one end where it was kind of swampy, where the creek comes into the lake, man, a lot of good sign over there, right? So I'm all about it. Well, we ended up catching a few beaver and muskrat. We never caught anything in our land sets that we made going down the creek. I don't know if it was just because there was just too many people around there for those kind of predators to be around. But we never did. We never caught a fox, a bobcat, a coon. We never caught a coyote, nothing. Never even accidentally caught a possum. You know what I mean? It was dead on that end of the creek. But the lake part, it was pretty good. We caught some beaver and some muskrat. Didn't catch any mink or otter. I don't think I saw any otter sign there. But the thing is, where these muskrat lodges were at, or huts, there was a lot of fox tracks. And me and my buddy, we both noticed it. And we're like, maybe we should set some fox traps. Well, I set one, and he set one. And he never got any hits. Well, I caught something in mine, but it got out. And so I was pretty stoked about that. You know, I'm thinking there's a fox around here. I'm going to catch it now. You know, it was a challenge because he sprung one trap. And I knew I was going to catch him. I was going to out-trick him. So anyways, we run on trap lines for a couple days. We're doing all right. It's not the best trap line, but man, we was having a good time. You know, just camping. We had a lot of deer meat. It was after deer season, so we was eating deer meat every night and potatoes and, you know, just keeping it simple, but keeping it real. So we were doing all right. Park ranger come by a couple times, check, make sure that we was okay, and, you know, everything was running smooth. And it was good, you know, it was a good time. Well, I think it was about maybe the 4th or 5th night. I think it was the 5th night because, yeah, I think this is why he did leave early. Yes, he did leave early. Well, he didn't stay 7 days. He ended up only staying 5 days. And I was there 5 days by myself. But, so, the 4th night, because he left on the 5th day. So, the 4th night, we're in the camper. Everything's cool. We're using electric lights and lanterns and whatnot. The battery-powered ones, you know, for light. And he's got some of them little tea candles in the little metal cups. You know what I mean? Little tiny ones for heating up incense or coffee or something. I don't know. I don't use them. But anyways, he brought some of those. And he's like, we can use these at night. You know, just to let them burn at night. And we'll be able to see when we got to get up and, you know, use the bathroom or whatever. I was like, that's a good idea. Well, we've been using them, but we've been putting them on the counter or on the stove, and they just burn, go out, no biggie. Well, this night, for some reason, he had this big tote with his clothes in it, and he decided to put that candle on top of that tote. Well, I'm sleeping in a bed this way. He's sleeping in a bed this way. That tote's right in between us. Door's right in between us. You guys get it? Now the stove's right above it. So I don't know why this night he put it on that tote. I don't know why he did that. But he did. We go to sleep. I'm not thinking nothing, you know. I'm dead asleep. All of a sudden, I get woke up. He's shaking me, trying to wake me up. I wake up. I can smell smoke and a lot of it. And I'm thinking, what the heck? And he's like, wake up. My clothes are on fire. Wake up. My clothes are on fire. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I jump up. And first thing I think of, pee jug. So I reached down beside my bed and I grabbed the pee jug and spin the lid off that thing. Glunk, glunk, glunk. I start dumping it in his tote of clothes that are on fire. You know what I mean? It's still a fire, right? He said, is that your pee jug? I said, yeah, I don't have no water. He said, I forgot about my pee jug. He grabbed his pee jug. He starts dumping his in there too. So we get the fire put out. We open the door. We get the smoke cleared out. Man, it was crazy. So the smoke clears out. The fire's put out. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. So we're going back to bed. Now, because of the smoke, I didn't really smell no pee. So, so it wasn't too bad. I fell right back to sleep. But the next morning, we both wake up about the same time. And I look over at his tote. And it's got a perfect little hole in it, the size of one of them tea candles. Is that what they're called? I think so, huh, y'all? But yeah, it's perfect hole. That thing said, bloop, drop down in there. Lit her up. But that's when he decided he was going to go home because all his clothes were covered in pee now. So he loaded up and went home, and I ended up staying 5 more days. Before he left, we had to go pull our traps, right? His traps, anyway. So when we took the loop down the creek, I pulled all mine too, because I wasn't really into land sets. I wasn't catching anything. Waste of time for me. And so then some of them sets I reset around the lake to try to increase my odds around the lake, because it seemed like there was a lot more activity going on. I'm going to be by myself. So if I could just make a smaller loop with a tighter trap line, why not, right? So that's what I did. So anyways, he leaves. I'm by myself. I'm running traps by myself. I'm catching a few beavers. The rest of the time I was there, I think I caught 2 beavers and 3 muskrats or something like that. It slowed down after he left. I don't think there was a whole lot of beavers. I think there was way more muskrats. But big colony. But anyways, the last couple nights is when this fox shows up. And it's a gray fox. And around here, normally you're seeing red fox. You're catching red fox. We have gray fox, obviously. But there's normally not as many, because the gray fox is a little bit smaller. And the red foxes and the coyotes and the bobcats kind of pick on them and snack on them a little bit sometimes. Especially the coyotes and the bobcats. I don't think red foxes actually. Anyways, doesn't matter. Gray foxes aren't something you see a whole lot of, and don't normally catch a lot of them. You might catch a few a year, but not usually as many as the red fox. Okay, so I'm sitting inside the camper. I had a fire going. It was getting late. So I was sitting in the camper. The fire's right outside my window. I'm at the table. I'm watching the fire through the window, watching it burn out, because I'm not going to go to bed until this fire's out. And it was about to go out. It was just barely flickering. It was like mainly coals glowing, but every once in a while, a piece of that charcoal would light up, and a little flame would come up, just a little one, light it up and down, right? I was like, it was pretty neat. So I'm watching it through the window, and I got all the lights off. I'm pretty much just sitting in the dark watching the fire. And I look over, check my phone or something. I can't remember why I looked over, if I heard something, but I looked away from the window for a minute. And then when I looked back, it was just standing there staring at me. And the first thing I seen was these little glowing eyes, right? And I didn't really register what it was. So I see these eyes staring at me, and I'm like, it scared me. I didn't know what it was. It definitely scared the crap out of me. So I'm like trying to hide, because it looks like it's looking right at me, right? So I'm like trying to hide from these eyes. The eyes are glowing off of the little bit of light that them coals are putting out. That's what the eyes are glowing off of. Well, I'm trying to kind of hide, because I don't know if this thing can see me in there or what, because it looks like it's looking right at me. And then that coal lights up, little flicker of light, like the flame, lights it up, then I can see it, and it's a fox, this gray fox, and just staring at me. I was like, that's creepy, right? So I was like, all right, whatever. I ain't scared of you, gray fox. I got this. I'm a trapper, and I'm about to set 100 booby traps right around that campfire. You're going to be mine before I go home. So I thought. So I start thinking I need bait, right? And I've got some kind of fox urine and some other lures that are good for coyote and fox, but I was thinking I have a lot of deer meat, and I could just take some raw deer meat, make me some really good cubby sets. And so I get up and I open the door. Well, this thing runs off, right? Which I figured it would. So it runs off. Now it's like, gosh, probably 10 degrees outside. It was cold. And so it's hard to set traps when you're that cold. And I was jacked up. Okay, so I should have put gloves on and probably more clothes or whatever. But I was all jacked up because all this just happened. It gave me this adrenaline rush. My primal instincts kicked in. I had to catch this thing, right? I jump up, grab some traps, make 100 mistakes about preparedness, and I just go out there. Boom, he runs off. I start setting traps around this campfire. Bait. I got them spread out away from the campfire. You know, I got them like just everywhere, all kinds. And I'm not kidding. I think I set 8 to 10 traps, right? And then in just this little bitty campsite. There was probably 5 going around that campfire, okay? And I was out there for a minute doing this. At least an hour it took me to set all these traps. Freezing. But I didn't stop. So I go back in the camper and I'm thinking, yep, I'm going to get you now. Well, by now this fire, it's not flickering or nothing no more. It's gone. It's out, right? I'm thinking, you know, I'm just going to go to bed. I can't even see out there no more. I'm not going to worry about it. When I wake up, that fox is going to be in one of my traps. And I had set some of these traps close enough to where if he got caught in one and pulled too far one way or the other, boom, he was going to get caught in another one. You know what I'm saying? I was going to double set him. So, or double catch him. I was going to catch this fox. So I get up the next morning. Man, I'm stoked. I get up before daylight, right? I'm just sitting there waiting for it to get daylight. I'm not going to go out there with a flashlight or nothing because I don't want to scare it. If this thing breaks loose right when it sees me, I want to be able to see which way it goes in case it's injured or it has my trap with it, right? In case my trap breaks loose and he takes off with it, I got to be able to see so I can track this thing down and get my trap and the fox. So, I got to wait till daylight. So I'm waiting. I make coffee. I'm sitting around. Finally, it's daylight. I get up, I go outside. Right at the campfire, I'm absolutely devastated. I cannot believe what I see. I'm serious. Every single trap was uncovered and flipped over and set off. They were flipped over. Now, when a trap goes off, it's going to land jaws up. That's just how it works. It's just how they land. These things had went off, was set off, and then flipped over with the jaws down. Every one of them. And all the bait was gone. All the deer meat was gone. Got every bit of it. So I'm like, oh, maybe I caught him in one of the blind sets, you know what I mean? One of the sets where it's on his little game trail, and all he has to do is step over a stick, and then bam, I got him. He unburied every single one of my traps. Every single trap I set was set off, unburied, and the ones that had bait, gone. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, you son of a gun. So I'm thinking, well, I did it at night. That crazy fox was probably just sitting right outside the light line of my camp, watching everything I did, and probably watched me set every single trap. So I decided I'm going to go down this trail a little bit, because it's got to be going up and down this trail. So I'm going to go down this trail a little bit, and I'm going to set a couple traps just for this fox. Some bank sets, cubby set. Because there's a couple spots on this trail where the creek was just right there, you know, maybe 10 inches, and then it was the bank a foot, and it was the bank down to the creek. And on the other side, maybe another couple feet, and it was a bank just going straight up. So that's a good spot for a, bank set. I punched a hole in the bank, shoved some bait down in there, kind of covered it all up a little bit, set my trap. I thought I'm going to get him for sure. And I did it everything the way I was supposed to. Wore gloves, used a clean canvas mat to put my knees on. I tried to leave no scent behind. Brand new traps I hadn't even used yet. The whole deal, right? I'm trying to outsmart this guy. So I set that, and then I go on down and hit one of them flat spots I was telling you guys about earlier, right? And I come off the trail. So I got the hillside, walking down trail, hillside, flat spot, so the hill turns around the corner, right? So that's what I did. I turn around the corner a little bit, and I make a little cubby set up beside a tree, stack some brush up, make a little cubby set where maybe I can get him to go up in there, put some bait in there. This is middle of the day. I'm looking, nothing's followed me. There's no way anything's seen me do this. So I'm thinking in my head, I got this guy. He's going to go down this trail tonight, and I'll be able to catch him before I leave to go home. So I go back to the camper. I'm in the camper, man. I'm anxious. I can't hardly wait till the next morning. I probably smoked half a pack of cigarettes and drank a whole pot of coffee. Maybe 2 pots of coffee. I don't know. But anyways, night comes. I go to sleep. I get up the next morning. I get all my stuff ready. Everything's loaded up ready. All I got to do is go check these 2 traps, and then I'm going to load that fox in the back of my trooper, and I'm headed home. So I go down the trail, and I get to my first trap, and it's set and flipped over. I never seen any animal do this. Flip the trap over. Now, every single one of them looked the same. I get to the last one, same thing. Set off, flipped over. Bait gone in both. Right? So this fox totally outsmarted me. Never caught him. I hope that a trapper went down there and caught him eventually. I doubt it. But anyways, that's the ghost fox story. And I hope one of these days I get to go back and camp out there, whether I'm trapping or not. It's a very nice place. The campsites are awesome. It's beautiful. And if I go back, I'll take some video this time and I'll share it with you guys. And then maybe then you'll kind of get to know where it's at. I might spill the beans, I don't know. But not yet, I'm not. Main thing for me is that no matter what's going on in your life, you need to know that somebody loves you and cares about you. I'm one of them, and there's a million other people out there that do too. So, call a friend, call a family member, call your neighbor, go to church, talk to the preacher. Just about anybody out there will listen to you and help you out. And if you don't think that any of them people will, or you don't have somebody like that, call 988. And that's not a joke. 988. Call them. They've got hundreds of people working for them, maybe more, I don't know, that absolutely care about you and want to help you and will get you through whatever you're going through. Okay? Don't give up no matter what's going on. Sweat the little stuff. Squatch it. Keep on keeping on. God bless everybody. Peace.